Hello, everybody. This is Brett Hofer. I have promised everybody that my dad would essentially go through a lot of things that he's been doing in the year of 2022. He's been working on models after models after models. And we thought it would be a really cool idea to let my father kind of walk through what his experience were with each of these different models that he had basically done. So with that said, I let my dad introduce himself. I know he's very passionate about art and about creating things, and so really wanted to give him an opportunity to talk about all these different things that he's been doing in the last year. And we're going to be starting off with the model that you see in front of us, and then we will progress through several of the other models that he did. So with that, go ahead, Dad, and to you.
Hello, I'm Don Hofer, and I am standing in front of a piece of work that's a 293 piece of Notre Dame de Paris. And it has very, very intricate areas on it, and I'd like to show you around it. This was the front scene, and that would be the entrance to this church, this famous, and I'm sure you've heard it. And what this shows is the doors on each side of the unit, and all the intricate pieces that it takes to do this. And it was over a good lengthy time that I spent on it, but I was very happy with the final result. It was what I call a one-in-a-lifetime project.
Okay, Dad, so what was your first impression when I first bought this? And you opened the box? What were your first thoughts?
Oh, my first was, oh my God, I don't think anybody could put that many pieces together to get the final church set up. And but to my amazement, my own amazement, I did, and it was very rewarding. And I sometimes now, after everything is completed, I have it in a place where I can look it over and realize what really did put together.
Yeah. So when you first, now one of the things I have to mention is when Dad moved in, Dad's always been the type that loves to be doing something all the time, and you realize, well, how does he keep busy, and how does he keep doing the things that he wants, whereas he's not working constantly like he used to be, and always, working on making money. And so had to find something that would take some time. Now, if I remember right, do you remember how long it took you to put this together?
No, I don't remember how long.
So it took my dad nearly 2 months to build this thing. And every morning he would come out religiously and work on it, and he would work on it, and we would see him in the morning, and then he'd get some food, and then he'd come back like he did when he was working in his old days, and he'd just keep working on it until he's standing up at night at 7 p.m. working on it. So, and there were times we would watch him get extremely frustrated at certain pieces. So my next question is, what was one of the most frustrating parts of building that?
Well, I guess one would be
Because you redid certain
the
things.
gluing of things so that they stay in place. So you put the piece in, and then you realize, no, I have to take it apart, and I have to put it back together, but I have to put the glue in the right places. And that was something you kept thinking about, and saying, okay. And so once I completed that, when we got to even worse areas, I was ready to try it again because it worked once. Yeah. I know I could make it work again.
Yeah. So I remember there were things about the windows. Every single window was individual window, pane of glass, wasn't it? Like every single one of these windows, how were those constructed?
No, actually, they are in sections.
Okay.
And that was, no, if they were individual, I think that would be almost an impossibility.
Yeah. Yeah. But and then show us the front of this. What was there any big challenges in the front of? You had this spun around before, but can you show us the front of the front of it? Yeah. So was there anything super difficult in regards to the front of this?
No, by the time I got doing that, after doing more of the rear portion of it, I had solved a lot of little problems that I had in the first place, and so it was went much quicker.
Oh, okay, all right.
When I say quicker, I'm talking a couple of days.
Yeah. Now, my question too is, out of all the other models that we're going to show off, where does this one rank in difficulty? Was this one of the most difficult ones that you worked on? And is it your favorite or your least favorite to work on?
Well, I would say it was my most rewarding of any of them.
Okay.
As far as having a feeling of completing, I have had a feeling for so long I'll never be able to finish this, but I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, we were thoroughly impressed when you finished this. So unfortunately, as sons do, I figured, okay, well, if he can complete that monolith, let's give him even more challenging things. So I'm about to show you, we're going to bring in the next model. So Dad, if you stay right there, I'm going to bring up the next model and see, and then you tell us about this next model that I bought.
Okay.
All right. So here we have it. This is model number 2. And so tell me a little bit about model number 2.
Well, my son had found a project that was totally different than the church. However, it was challenging because it started from scratch, where everything had to be properly cut and glued. And
well, when you say cut and glued, if I remember
on first seeing it on paper, I thought, this may be fun. I don't know why. And it was easier in some ways, but it was more challenging in other ways. I was very, very happy with the finished product on it because I did start different ways to finish its assembly, and then had to re-go back and try it a different way. Maybe a few more, no, maybe about the same for the church. But
well, I remember you had each board, like that hull is just like 100 of just small little bands of wood.
that's the deck.
Just like the hull, the bottom hull. You had to actually.
Oh, the bottom portion of
Yeah.
it. Oh,
you
yeah,
had
to shape it.
Shape the entire thing like
shape
you're building a real boat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Like I said, there were some things that were, I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? But
Yeah.
I had done so many projects that I
Yeah,
was,
that's right there. Leave it like that. I mean, that shows all the mass and everything
Yeah.
else. It was
but this
very
is the
impressive.
area he was just talking about, and then also the deck itself. All that was, every single one of those boards were just as only smaller than a real boat.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge, yes, and but I loved it. And every time I thought I was done, I wasn't satisfied, so I'd have to go back and work on it a little longer because I don't like that, or
Yeah. Now I thought one of the interesting things about this model that was fun was we brought you to a flea market here in Florida, and you were on a mission to find a little flag from a veterans shop, right? And you want to show us, like, because you had this idea, you wanted to incorporate this little flag into your model. So where did that ever end up? Did that end up on this ship?
no,
It didn't.
no.
Oh, okay.
No, I found it. And actually, I didn't really find, in a book I found the what I was looking for, which was this. I'll show that here. And that was a flag that the wind was blowing. So it gave you the feeling of, instead of like in full sail, it gave the motion to it. So that's why I like that. Yeah. And so I redid it because I still didn't like the size of it. So I hand did that and put each bar in and then attached. And then I realized I have to do the other side.
Wow, that was a lot.
Never got to that on the other side.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that isn't done on it.
So that was quite a bit, and I think this took you about the same amount of time, if not more, than the church, right?
Well, yeah, because I kept finding things that were challenging to how to handle. The sails being one of them, because of the fact you wanted to get the curve in it as though the wind was blowing at them, and that gives it more of a life look.
Wow.
And And then these on the sides, you can move to put them. So if I displayed it somewhere, I could curl these just a little bit so they still look like the wind was
Oh yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
working with them.
Yeah, you put a lot of detail, I remember. And then if I remember right, you painted it several times.
I lost a lot of sleep too because I would go to sleep or think, well, I think I'm going to lay down and relax. And then I think, oh, I have the way I can do the project that I gave up on, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd come back and say, okay, I know I can make that fit by just cutting a piece out of this. And,
Yeah, you were doing a lot with the poles to hold the mass. I remember that. Yeah.
oh yes, and that was a case of tying each one of them up so that it looked real, as opposed to just gluing them on the
Yep. And then every string and every knob on the side of everyone, you'd wake up each morning and then you would do one more and then another.
Yes, I had to work myself out to do that.
Yeah.
Because what they did not have this in the kit, the ladder, you know, the rope ladders.
Yeah.
So the only way they showed them, but they didn't have them. And so by using the string and getting each of them there, I had to glue every one of those bars of that together.
Yep.
And still have it look, you know, well, I mean, you didn't mind if it was moved a little bit because that would happen if first time you walked up the ladder. But the tiny ones, I expected that to be almost an impossibility, but that turned out to be pretty good because what I did was having the glue for each one of those so that it was just taking just a teeny bit of it, and then you'd stick it on, and the right glue took it.
Yeah.
But if it took time for the glue, then you would have a problem because there's an awful lot of these.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because I know when you describe these things, you remind me a lot of Grampy too. Because Grampy used to explain a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Your dad would go through.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
My dad would have loved that.
Yeah.
That challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and wouldn't stop until it was actually just the way you
Right,
wanted it.
right. Even if he did it and he said, well, I guess this will work. By the time the next day came, he came up with a better way to do it.
Yeah. So out of this model, now compared to the church model, what did you like the most about this one?
The finish. And I felt as though if you put that in the water now,
Yeah.
and God help us,
It would sail away fast.
but it would look like the real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't just a toy that
Yeah.
somebody.
So we are putting these models on display throughout the house after this. So again, maybe there's a little bit of a mission of mine is let's pick some models that would look good around the house. So it's a double win. Now here's the thing. So this model came out fantastic, and it felt as though Dad had been really just achieving, you know, the impossible between the 2-month effort on the Notre Dame church. Then we have this new, you know, sailing ship with all the masts and all of the different things to rebuild the entire hull. I started thinking, well, okay, let's find another really challenging model that was a completely different medium. And maybe Dad would just like knock this one out of the park. So it took me probably, I would go for an entire weekend just going searching and searching. And I decided, okay, well, he's done cardboard, he's done wood. Now I went ahead and I found him a new model, and we'll let you hear his feelings on this model.
I didn't think you'd even bring it up.
Okay, now this model, I will have to admit, this was a very expensive model. And we are talking about a model that is made of metal. And metal models, I figured, well, you know, these models are going to be, well, I figured to be really sturdy and go together really well and clipped and everything else. And Dad, when he first opened this, he looked at it, like I did, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. But Dad, tell us, well, after you started opening it up and starting putting it together, what did you think about this model?
Well, it was a surprise to me because I forgot about the size of what these were and how all connecting pieces to it were so teeny tiny that you need a magnifying glass to get every wheel to fit where it's supposed to fit. And you had to do it in progression, because if you got one in too soon, then you couldn't put in the second one because it wouldn't fit. It would be in the way of the next one. And however, I was determined to finish it. And I did get all the wheels in place and the base model outside together, but there was so much more to go. And I had all these pieces that, in order to make a roof stay, it needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of little tabs that had to be lined up to put them in. And I would spend an hour just trying to put one piece in. So it was a case of, well, the next time, I'd say, well, I finally got it in. But the next time I went, I saw, oh, there's one right after that also needs 6 or 7 collecting pieces. And that started to, it doesn't really change how it looks. It looked to me as though there were more tabs than were necessary. And they made it so the final piece, and so I ended up assuming maybe 2 where there were 6 or 7 that you should be coupling in. And that's just one of the things. And and I think it was just the size of it. If it was larger and the connection pieces were bigger, I would have been much more satisfied with it.
But things didn't stay together. That was the other problem with this model.
That's right. And you pick it up, and all of a sudden, one of those little connection areas would be let the whole thing go.
Yeah. So hold on one second. Okay, so this is the box that it came in, right? And frankly, we both look at this and we say, I will have to say, do not waste your money on this model.
No.
Because I know how meticulous and how you follow every instruction to a T. And this model has been so poorly manufactured and just does not go together well. It is a nightmare. And so for, I think it was $280, it is not worth the money. That's what I'll say about this model. What are your thoughts?
Well, somebody may come along that takes this set and can endure all the problems trying to put it together, and but I was not one of them.
I thought it was ridiculous when you showed me some of the stuff that had to happen. All right.
So my son finally got me.
Yeah, I got him. He wanted to throw that one in the garbage. So what's the next model you'd like to show?
Well, you picked up 3 different plane models, and I would say the first one there is the best, although the last was great too.
All right, so we, after the debacle with the with the train selection, we decided to go a little bit more traditional with the traditional models to keep Dad busy and get his creative juices constantly moving day in and day out. Not to mention the mural he was working on, which we haven't even touched upon yet. But today we'll talk about, why don't you tell us about some of the traditional models that you worked on here? Were you happier to be working on these over the train?
This is the first one that you.
This is my favorite one that you did here.
And I thought I did something wrong with this because it has this up, and then I read up on this particular model, and they have a bar that comes in that holds up the back portion of the setup, but this had something.
You want to turn it around and show a little bit more of it besides the front?
It had 293 pieces to it, believe it or not.
Do you want to show it off a little bit more? Like,
oh, yeah, no, I'd like to show
lift it up and show the top of it?
Yes. Then you have the guns in the center, front, and the top. And the
let's see the top of the plane. Show us the top of the plane. There you go. You had this metallic paint that you used.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was very famous. I had the number of this that was in that folder that they have on it, and they have all the details of it. It was a very, very well-known thing, and this is in years past, many years past.
Yep.
But it was also one of the few they had where you had to do your own painting on the windows.
Yep.
Which happens to be one of the things I do well. And that had looked so different before I painted them. I can see why they required it.
Yeah.
And
Now, what about the other planes?
the other,
Let's see some of the other planes.
this one,
Now, I have to admit to you, I liked it the original color you painted that. I don't know why you painted.
what, this one?
No, I love that color on that paint.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of you changing the color of the paint on this next one.
Oh, however, I was reading the interesting things about this boat.
You gotta flip it so the camera can see it.
Yeah,
Show me the top. Show the
And
top of it.
yeah.
No, show the top of it. There you go. Yeah.
Why I liked the color on this was because in the silver, you can go over it again with a fine pen to bring out all the lines in it. They were not there before. You know, I mean, they were there, but you wouldn't know they were there because it's all in one dark red color. And the bottom portion of it, which was set up, and this went 170 miles an hour, and it was used during the Second World War, and it was.
I think that's an F-18 Hornet. That's a lot faster than that.
And the decals.
Yeah.
But this one, yes, did seem to now the actual model, I mean the actual plane, the pieces in it, I think they're talking about things that are not raised up off the primary.
All right, let's see the other plane. What do you got for the other plane?
This one.
That one looks like it's already been through a war.
This one has, yes. This one was very, very, very well known. And I don't have all the details on that because
no, that's all
I
right.
mean I read them.
But what was your how did you feel about making these type models versus the other models?
Well, it was totally different, and but I think this one and this one were challenging, and that the only problem I found with them was when in the window areas required gluing. And for some reason or other, the glue that I put in seemed to almost cover. This is putting it in very carefully, would almost walk up around the window areas. And I don't know why it does that, but it did it. Yeah. Not on that one, but on this one too.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute, no, it wasn't this one. Anyway, and it was very difficult to get off. And
now, out of all the models that you've done over the past year, what would you say that your favorite model was?
You mean of all the?
Of all the models.
Well, I'd have to say that the top three would be the church,
Yeah.
then the boat,
Yeah.
and then
that silver model. Yeah.
then this
So,
one.
nice. Yeah.
That they were
But you know that your most favorite thing was the mural in the garage.
oh my unfinished
Mural. Yeah.
mural.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get to that one next.
And the trouble with it being unfinished is only one reason, and that is old age, fear that I'm going to do a double loop up there.
The mural, he has to climb up. I have to build him something that's safe enough for him to climb up to do the top portion of the mural, so that if he were to fall, he doesn't fall on his noggin.
He gave me the answer to the problem, and somebody told me that we could trick their boat out.
Yeah,
their large boat.
And then I thought to myself, there's too many steps on that boat to fall on. So I have a new plan that I will introduce to him once the spring hits here. So but we are.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, we are going to wrap this up because we're going to take a little bit of a break. And then we're gonna have it out on a pool game or so, and then we'll return at some point to talk about the mural and some of the paintings that he's worked on in the last 6 months to a year. So, well, thanks, Dad, for showing us all these different models you had. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody?
Yes, I mean, every one of these were like a new area for me that I hadn't done ever, really. But my first love has always been fine art. And after 23 years as a fine art instructor, and my setup of the real paintings, the kind of paintings did for the trying to think that isn't that terrible. Anyway, that's old age. The paintings that I held on to, and I still have, that are all wrapped in my closet now that I'm staying at, and that has got to be my first love of those, and because the place that I did the paintings for used those, had prints made, and sold them for about 3 years, and that was very good help to me. That not so much the money, because I probably got a payment, but the fact of how people liked them, and and the other thing is the animal prints, where my friends asked me to do their pet one day, and then he was so excited about it. I thought, just a pen and ink drawing. But that turned out to be one of the best financial things, or could have been, and sold 300 of those on eBay, and of all the different ones. And I couldn't go down my street without having somebody come running over to me. Some of them I didn't even know, and they said, I have a dog, I want to do my dog. And so now I have 3 bats. A few days ago, when they came over, they're this big, that size, and they're loaded with the prints of animal
Well,
prints.
there you go. And you are still painting. You are spending your days painting still, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I haven't done a painting show in quite some time now, but
Wait a minute. You're sitting in you have your easel and you're sitting there painting for your grandson, and you're painting your murals, and you're painting. So you are painting.
No, the ones I'm doing this house.
You're painting this house. You're
Yeah,
still. My point is, you're still doing what you love to do, which is painting.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Okay.
And I was glad that that it was bothering you that between that, where I wasn't doing it anymore of regular painting, and I sat many nights thinking, what can I do? I don't want to just sit around and watch TV or whatever. What am I going to do? And then I realized this house that my son lives in is beautiful, and I know he loves it. And I thought, I'll go out and walk around the house, and I took a scene of it, and I'm working on it this morning, and it's being held by these pine that's hiding a lot of really nice things to make this. So I just dropped them out.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do a whole thing on that at some point.
That's less to know.
But yeah, that was quite a bit for a closing statement. We will. We will see you in a little while, and then we'll play some pool and spend the rest of our weekend. So thank you everybody for joining us. And
well, I thank you, Brett, for having this.
Well, I always promised you're going to have to show off everybody what you did over the last.
I know, yeah.
So,
look at me. Yeah.
No, but you are keeping busy, and we love to see you keep creating because you've always inspired everybody else around you to create. It's in the Hofer blood. So, all right, everybody.
It made my life.
Take care.
Thank you.